How are we? Yeah, good, thank you. How are you, mate? Good?
Right, guys, so it'll be the usual format today, so nothing live during the first section, which will be for the broadcasters, and then we'll lift the embargo, do a section for dailies, and a section for Sunday newspapers. So we'll start with Dan Carr, this guy.
Thank you, Johnny. Afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you?
Good, thank you. A few players to run through, if you don't mind, just with team news. Kaglas Yunshu, you hope to have back out of this game. Is he fit?
No, he's not. Kag's tried to get himself back into training yesterday, but just felt it, so obviously it was too close, but the fact that he wanted to push himself to be in contention shows a lot about his character.
So he's definitely out?
He's definitely out, yeah.
Just going to a few of the other players. Killing Dewsbury Hall, how is he?
He's good. He's been training with us the last few days now, so he's available for selection.
Just seeing a few others who weren't available against Newcastle who came off with cramp injuries. Iheanacho, Johnny Evans and Ricardo.
Iheanacho's fine. Johnny Evans had cramp, he's fine. Ricky, we scanned him and he's fine. Wolf is the only question mark at the moment. We're still waiting to see if he'll be good enough to train tomorrow.
Has he trained this week with that hamstring injury?
No, he hasn't trained yet since the injury.
Just going off the Newcastle result, Dean, obviously it was a big decision to not play Maddison and Barnes, but it worked to an extent. How tempting is it to continue with that system at West Ham, knowing that you need a win?
I think my biggest problem was that, it looked like we were playing for the draw. We certainly didn't go to play for the draw. We played to keep it tight and stay in the game for 60 minutes, which we haven't been doing over the last couple of games. But we never retained the ball well enough when we regained it, and that was probably my biggest problem with the system, our ball retention. But we had to play a certain way against Newcastle, and what we did was restricted Newcastle until probably the last 5 minutes of the first half, where they've had a couple of chances from set pieces and hit the post twice. But people have said we were lucky in that game. I would also flip it and say they were lucky, because they certainly should have had a man sent off and been down to 10 men.
You said you had to play a certain way against Newcastle. How do you have to play against West Ham?
We've got to win the game, plain and simply. We've got to figure out and balance the best way to not give big chances away and create big chances against West Ham, who were in a European final and after the tough first half of the season have climbed away from danger and have got a very good manager there.
Just wonder what the atmosphere has been like around training this week. Also, with knowing that it's not in your hands, obviously looking at the Everton game, how are the players feeling and what message have you given them this week? Pretty
much the same message. I thought they showed defiance at St James's Park. We knew there would be a partisan atmosphere. We knew they would have a lot of ball. They would be threatening from set pieces, and I thought the lads showed defiance. So we can move on from that with optimism and just see this game now as an opportunity to win a game. And if we win, then who knows? Just finally from you, Dean, I think you spoke about it in the first press conference there. Last game of the season being West Ham, obviously it was your last game at Villa as well, and you kept them up. Just wondering how your feelings were that week, Aston Villa building up to that game, and how does this week compare? Yeah, pretty similar really. I mean, probably the only difference last time there was no supporters there. I think we only needed a point as well, and it was in our own hands. So if other results went our way, this one's a lot simpler, because we just have to go and win the game, and we don't even have to look at the Everton results until after the game. We've got to do our job and then see where it takes us. Cheers, mate. Hi. Yeah, good, thank you.
How easy or how difficult is it to keep the players calm and composed? From a neutral's point of view, this is a great weekend for everyone from the outside, but how do you keep the squad calm and composed as opposed to panic stations, for want of a better phrase?
Well, simply, we can only control what we can do. And that's what you have to keep telling the players, control your performance, help your teammate out, go and get a good result and a win. if you do your part, then we are looking at other people to help us now. But we've got to make sure that we just concentrate on what we do. So it's quite a simple message, really, and the lads have trained well so far.
And in terms of West Ham, is it more tricky to kind of fathom what David's going to do? He's got a European final round the corner in terms of the team and potential selections. He could make 8, 9, 10 changes potentially.
Yeah, but I've no idea what David will be thinking about his team. The final's, I think, 10 days away after the final game, so I wouldn't expect too many changes. He'll be looking to finish the Premier League season on a high.
And just finally from me, is there part of you that wishes you'd come in maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3 games earlier to avoid a final day scenario like this? Because the progression can be seen with what you've done and the clean sheets and the sort of difference in how you've set the team up. Is there just a slight sort of hankering that if I'd come in maybe 2 or 3 games earlier, we might be safe, we might not be in this position?
No, not really, because it's hypothetical. We came in when we did. We had 8 games, and this is the 8th one of it, and hopefully we can get the result that keeps us in the league.
Best of luck with the weekend.
Cheers, thank you.
So starts, we've got to Ian.
Hi, Dean. How are
Hello, mate. Yeah, good, thank you.
It's kind of all or nothing. So in that respect, do you throw caution to the wind and just tell your team to go out there from the first minute and try and win the game?
I think any game you go into from the first minute, you're trying to win the game, but you've got to get that balance right, and I think that's always the key thing. Make sure you're not too open, but we've got to go and score a goal, because without scoring a goal, we don't win the game. So we know that we've got to go and create opportunities, but we're mindful that the threat that West Ham have, and both sides of the game we'll have to be good at.
Sometimes managers like to keep it tight early on. Sometimes they like to, maybe get to a certain point in the game and still be in the game. On Sunday, that doesn't really matter to you, does it?
No, for us it's just about going from the first minute, try and win the game. Can you go and create scoreboard pressure on other teams? I don't know, but we've just got to concentrate on what we do at the King Power with our fans behind us and go get the win.
Sometimes managers say they want the team to play the game, not the occasion. Is that never more clarity than on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the players want clarity of what their positions are, what we're asking of them with and without the ball, and our job is to give them that clarity, and it doesn't get any clearer for me. We have to win, and that's all they need to know, and that's all they do know as well.
You spoke before about the game at the London Stadium a few years ago with Villa in the COVID season, where you got a 1-1 draw. There were no fans around, obviously, to muddy the waters or to let the team know what was going on elsewhere. On Sunday, everybody's going to know what's going on at Goodison. Is that a good thing for you, or is that a bad thing for you that everyone's going to know whether or not, Everton are behind and there's a real chance of staying up?
I think only time will tell, during the Sunday, going back to that game a few years ago, we were having to watch 2 other games and their results as well, because I think it was Watford at the time. If they'd have drew, I think they would have gone above us. So, we had to make sure that, we matched or bettered Watford's result at least. And, we had eyes on other games as well. We don't need to do that now. We just know simply and we have to win the game, because if we don't, then we get relegated.
Does Sunday and what happened on Sunday impact on your future here?
No, not at all. I mean, my future was to come in for 7 weeks and 8 games, and that hasn't changed. So my future is exactly the same.
Would you like to stay on whatever happens on Sunday?
I think that's a question to have after the game, not before it.
And finally, for me, obviously, everyone's going to talk about the players on Sunday. And whatever happens, whether some will stay and some will go, some of the more high-profile players, obviously, James Madison has spoken about quite a bit. How much does, in your opinion, Sunday impact on what the squad looks like on day one of next season compared to what it looks like now?
Again, not my remit. I've not been looking at contracts, with players we've got or who are out or not. That my remit was 8 games to try and win as many as possible. Unfortunately, it's come down to the last game. I would have rather have got more points. We're probably a couple of points behind where I thought we would be. And we have to put that right this weekend.
You nervous?
No, looking forward to it. looking forward to it. I hope the players will get a little bit nervous because I think you have to have them juices flowing. Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, Ian. We'll go to Charlie and then to Owen.
Hi, Lou.
Hi, mate.
Can you talk about the fans and the kind of impact that they can have on the game? We always talk about being behind closed doors. Last time this happened with Villa and West Ham. What difference can they make at the King Power on Sunday?
A massive difference because we're at home. We've seen the difference that they've made in our first 2 home games against Wolves and then Everton. And against Liverpool until they scored 2 quick fire goals, which makes it really tough when you're 2 goals down. But they can have a massive impact in how we play and what we do, and having home advantage is a massive impact. So, I fully expect our supporters to be behind us and our players, playing to have them off the feet.
It's kind of inevitable.
On the feet.
It's inevitable that the fans will be aware of what's going on in those other grounds, and occasionally that message can get on to the players. What do you tell them about that?
Yeah, it's just to concentrate on our game still. Again, it's still simplistic. We've still got to win. It doesn't matter what's going on at other grounds. So, just win. Whatever else is going on elsewhere, we're not in control of. But we've seen how quickly things can change around in the last 15 minutes of games, whether it's been this season or previous seasons. So, we win our game and then see where it goes.
Just finally from me, what would it mean to you personally if you were able to get the job done?
Incredible pride. Coming in so late in the season with Shaky and JT, I think we've changed the mood in the camp. It was when we came in, I felt a little bit of belief had gone. I think we've got that back. But I also knew some of the games were going to be really tough. The Liverpool, the Newcastle, the Man Cities, they were going to be tough, and we had to try and get points elsewhere. Thank you.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, mate.
Okay. Obviously, you've been in this position before, and a lot of people have spoken about that. But I wonder what experiences you might be able to take from that weekend heading into this weekend in hindsight, and I guess what you learned from that day to take into this.
Yeah, I've been passing on information to players on what to expect and how to deal with certain situations. But we've got an awful lot of international footballers within our squad, so they're very experienced players. They understand the pressures. I don't need to add to that pressure at all. I have to give them some clarity and on tactics, and let them go and execute the plan. Really.
I know you've mentioned already that you have to go and win your game at all costs, and then all the results are out of your control. But from a personal standpoint, how will you follow that at the weekend? Wouldn't we even look at Everton's result, or do you keep a closer eye on it?
No, not at all. I don't need to. As I say, I've got to concentrate on our game and be fully immersed into our game and how the tactics and how the game is going to make any changes that I need to try and win the game. What happens elsewhere, I'll know after the final minute.
To go and get that result and beat West Ham United, what are the key attributes you have to get spot on?
I think we have to have good discipline defensively, because that's been our Achilles heel. Not just since I've been here, but for the majority of the season, probably why we are where we are now. So defensively, we have to make sure that our discipline is really good. We've got creative players. We can go and create opportunities to score goals, and we have to make sure that we're a good team, because West Ham can hurt you if you give them the opportunities to.
Final one, Dean. What would your final message be to the fans ahead of the game this weekend, and what you need from them?
We need their 100% support. Get behind the players, get behind the staff, get behind the football club. We're all in the same boat. We all want the end result, which is to stay in the Premier League, and that's by getting a win. And the only way we do that is by all being together. And I have no doubts that we will be.
Dean, thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll finish this section with Dan from ITV.
Dean, just following up on that, do the fans, be careful with this, but have a responsibility to keep backing you? Because you know what it's like when a goal goes in elsewhere and it can kind of suck the life out of play.
No, I think we all have a responsibility for Leicester City Football Club, whether we're employed by it, whether you're a supporter. It's our club now, and our job is to get the best that we can for the club, and the best we can get is to get a win on Sunday, and the only way you do that is being together.
And I guess the other thing here is that for the players, the worst case is they come off that pitch and there's any regrets.
Yeah, and my job is to make sure there are no regrets from the players. You know, to make sure they've gone out and give 100%. And you know, if I feel that somebody's tiring or somebody's not playing as well as they can, then it's my job to change it from the bench. And you know, I think that could be a difference as well, you know, by having finishers who can come off the bench and change a game for us. Cheers.
It's done. Okay, we'll wrap the broadcast section there and thank Bargo, and then we'll